Welcome to my channel Limelight Leaks. Please share and subscribe, and hit the bell icon for latest updates. If you watched Iron Resurrection from the start, you probably remember the man with sparks flying around his hands. He had a welding tool in his hand, didn't talk much, but always got things done. That was Mike Zabonik. In a world of loud people, fake drama, and high energy, Mike was different. He didn't need a cool saying or a big entrance. He was calm, quiet, and really important. He was the guy you could trust to take old rusty metal and turn it into perfect car parts. On a show full of big personalities, he was the real worker. From the first episodes, Mike stood out not because of what he said, but because of what he did. Whether he was fixing the frame on a 1968 Camaro or welding special parts for an old truck, Mike was always working in the back, making hard things look easy. His hands were usually dirty with metal dust. He looked focused, not at the cameras, but at his work. And that's exactly why fans liked him. In a world full of fake internet stars and made-up personalities, Mike Zabonik felt real. He didn't care about being on TV. He didn't try to get attention like some people on other shows. He was never trying to sell stuff or become famous online. He just did his work, and he did it better than most people. His skills in welding and making things weren't learned just for TV. He earned them through years working in shops. Many years of grinding, fitting, bending, and building. Fans quickly started to notice him. Online discussion groups were full of praise for Mike's skills. YouTube comments under episodes often said things like, "That Zabonik guy is really good." Or, "The quiet guys are always the best builders." To many people, he showed what the custom car world is really about. Skill, patience, and being proud of every weld. In short, Mike Zabonik was the heartbeat of Iron Resurrection's first seasons. But just as fans were getting to know and like his talent, he disappeared. No warning, no goodbye, just silence. And that silence left behind questions nobody answered until now. Way before the cameras started filming and Iron Resurrection became popular on Motortrend, Mike Zabonik was already working next to Joe Martin. Their friendship didn't start with TV. It started in real car restoration work. Mike wasn't hired because he looked good or was good on screen. He was brought in because people knew he was excellent, precise, and worked hard without complaining. Joe Martin knew that to build world-class hot rods and custom cars, he needed someone who didn't just know how to weld, but lived for it. Zabonik came from a background full of hands-on car experience. A Texan through and through, Mike learned his skills in metal shops across the state, working with both classic restorations and modern performance builds. Welding wasn't just something he could do. It was his way of life. He understood how steel works, how panels should feel, what a good weld should look like. And when Martin Brothers Customs started growing, Joe didn't just want Mike on the team. He needed him. When Iron Resurrection started filming, the crew was filled with friends, not people looking for fame. Joe Martin, his wife Amanda, painter Javier "Shorty" Ponce, and Mike Zabonik made up the main group that made the show work. It was teamwork that came from years of working together, not fake drama. Mike quickly became the guy who could be counted on when time was running out and the builds got complicated. When something went wrong on a build, and something always does, it was Mike who fixed it. While others acted silly for the cameras or made jokes, Mike just kept building. And for the people working behind the scenes, that reliability was worth everything. He didn't want praise or question the plan. He just got things done. That's why Joe Martin often called him the unsung hero of the shop. But even as the show became popular and the garage became famous, something about Mike never changed. He kept his head down. He rarely smiled on camera. He never tried to sell himself as a TV personality. Because to him, the work was the reward. But television makes everything bigger, especially the pressure. And over time, that pressure started to wear on him. In a world where custom car shows often need big personalities and even bigger egos, Mike Zabonik was different. He didn't need to yell, joke, or take up lots of screen time. He just needed his welding helmet and a good project to work on. And strangely enough, that quiet presence made him one of the most loved members of the Iron Resurrection cast. For every fan who liked the flashy paint jobs or the amazing transformations, There was another who watched just to see Mike work. Online discussion groups about the show often had whole conversations praising his steady hands and no-drama attitude. YouTube comments would fill up with appreciation after each new season came out. Zabonik is the real MVP, or love watching Mike weld. He's the backbone of this operation. Even Instagram pages about car restoration would sometimes repost clips of Mike at work, calling him the most underrated guy on car TV. Why did people admire him so much? Because Mike represented something rare in the entertainment-driven world of car reality TV shows. Authenticity. His skill was never questioned. Every weld he made, every frame section he built was textbook perfect. For serious car lovers, he was a reminder of what the industry is supposed to be about. Craftsmanship, not cameras. He also brought an old-school attitude that connected with working-class viewers. He wasn't there to become famous. He didn't show up looking for sponsorships or followers. He was there to build great cars and do honest work. And that ironically made him stand out among all the people chasing their next big break. Even the producers knew they had something special in Mike. While he never played the main character, they often showed him during important build moments. The team trusted him, the audience respected him, and the show was better because of him. But then he was gone, just like that. And fans weren't just surprised, they were worried. Because when a guy that reliable disappears, something's usually wrong. Season after season, Mike Zabonik showed up. No fanfare, no grand entrances, just that familiar welding helmet and a cloud of grinding sparks. And then, without warning, he was gone. No goodbye scene, no official announcement, no explanation. Just missing from the shop floor when the next season of Iron Resurrection aired. Fans were shocked. Was it a scheduling problem, a contract issue, health problems, or drama? The silence left an empty space and a mystery. For viewers who followed the show religiously, Mike's absence was immediately obvious. Message boards lit up. YouTube comment sections filled with questions. "Where's Mike?" became one of the most common things people searched for about Iron Resurrection in the months after the season started. Loyal fans looked through social media accounts, rewatched episodes for clues, even messaged cast members for answers. But nothing solid ever came up. There was no dramatic exit filmed for TV, no goodbye post, no Instagram story explaining where he went. It was as if Mike Zabonik had simply vanished from the car world. And that lack of closure only made fans more desperate to know what happened. Theories started flying around. Some people believed he had a fight with Joe Martin or the producers. Others suggested health concerns or burnout. A few even guessed that he had moved on to a secret project or started his own shop. But without any confirmation, everything was just guessing. Adding to the mystery was how the show felt after he left. While Iron Resurrection stayed successful and entertaining, something felt different. The energy changed. The builds were still beautiful. But Mike's unique brand of quiet excellence was missing. And viewers noticed. For many people, Mike Zabonik was the soul of the shop. The guy who showed up every day, did the hard work, and asked for nothing in return. His disappearance wasn't just a staffing change. It felt like losing a friend. So what really happened? The next few parts explore the most believable theories and the truth that Mike himself may never fully explain. By the time Mike Zabonik disappeared from Iron Resurrection, fans were hungry for answers. But those who worked in the world of custom car shows already suspected the truth: burnout. Working in a restoration shop is hard enough under normal circumstances. Long hours, tight deadlines, and difficult metal work. Add cameras, producers, and the pressure of millions watching every weld, and it can break even the toughest craftsman. And Mike, he wasn't made for the spotlight. He was made for the work. Insiders close to the production have hinted for years that Mike wasn't exactly in love with the filming process. He didn't mind being on TV, but he hated the repetition. Scenes had to be filmed multiple times for camera angles, and simple jobs often took longer than necessary because of reshoots. For a guy like Mike, who was all about efficiency and quality, that became frustrating fast. Then there's the pacing. While a build in real life might be done with natural flow and attention to detail, A TV schedule demands speed, spectacle, and cliffhangers. And when deadlines got tighter or production needed drama, the pressure in the shop could go from intense to unbearable. Friends say Mike never complained, but you could see it in his eyes. The joy of the craft was getting chipped away by the chaos of TV deadlines. And while the rest of the crew may have found ways to adapt to the cameras, Mike wasn't interested in learning to play the game. He wasn't about branding himself or building a fan base. He didn't want merchandise, followers, or fame. He just wanted to build beautiful machines. It's been said that Mike began quietly pulling back from the show even before his official disappearance, taking fewer hours, staying out of certain shots, skipping press events. When he finally stopped appearing altogether, it didn't feel like a sudden break to those on the inside. It was more like a slow fade, the quiet exit of a man who'd had enough of playing along. And when Mike left, he didn't slam the door. He just walked away. While speculation about drama or burnout dominated online discussions, those close to Mike Zabonik suggest a simpler, more human reason for his departure from Iron Resurrection. He wanted his life back. For years, Mike had balanced his love of fabrication with a grueling schedule of a TV show. But when the cameras turned off, the price of that fame became more visible. And like many working-class craftsmen suddenly thrust into celebrity, Mike began to reassess what really mattered. Friends say Mike wanted to spend more time with his family, time that reality TV constantly consumed. Shooting days could stretch well beyond a standard work shift. Travel, promotional work, and retakes ate into weekends and holidays. And even when Mike was home, he wasn't always present. The demands of being TV Mike meant constantly being on, something that never sat well with a man who'd built his career in the quiet hum of welding torches and sanding blocks. Then there are whispers never confirmed but quietly acknowledged about Mike facing some health struggles. Nothing major or life-threatening, but enough to remind him that time is precious and health is not guaranteed. He didn't want to grow old under studio lights. He wanted to grow old doing what he loved, on his terms, in his time. There's also the toll of being recognized. Mike wasn't looking for fame. He didn't chase followers. But when fans started stopping him at gas stations and grocery stores, asking for photos or project advice, it didn't feel like appreciation. It felt like invasion. And for someone as reserved as Mike, that took a mental toll. Ultimately, stepping away from the show wasn't a failure. It was a choice, a deeply personal, deeply deliberate choice to put peace above popularity. And while fans may have missed seeing him on screen, those who knew him best understood. Mike didn't disappear, he just refocused. Whenever a cast member leaves a reality show without warning, the rumor mill kicks into overdrive. And in Mike Zabonik's case, speculation was fierce. Some fans assumed a falling out with Joe Martin, the show's host and lead fabricator. Others imagined tension behind the scenes, creative differences, contract disputes, or personality clashes that boiled over. But according to those close to the crew, the truth is far less scandalous. There was no dramatic shouting match, no secret betrayal, no doors slammed or bridges burned. In fact, every public statement Joe Martin has made about Mike has been overwhelmingly positive. He's described Mike as a brother, a master of his craft, and someone I'd work with any day of the week. That kind of praise doesn't come from a bitter exit. It comes from respect. Insiders from Martin Brothers Customs have echoed that sentiment, saying Mike left on good terms with gratitude on both sides. Joe understood that not everyone thrives in the spotlight, and Mike just wanted to get back to what he loved without the burden of cameras in his face. Still, fans couldn't help but wonder, why no farewell episode? Why not give Mike the send-off he deserved? The answer may lie in the nature of reality TV itself. Sometimes production timelines don't allow for proper goodbyes. Sometimes cast members step away quietly, hoping to avoid attention. And sometimes the most honest farewell is no farewell at all. What's clear is that Mike's departure wasn't the result of bad blood. It was a natural evolution. The show moved forward, and so did Mike. And while they may not work together on camera anymore, there's every reason to believe the respect between Mike and the Martins still runs deep. In the end, it wasn't drama that made Mike walk away. It was dignity. So, where's Mike Zabonik now? That's the million-dollar question for Iron Resurrection fans who've been searching for answers. He's not updating YouTube. He's not appearing at car shows or launching a merchandise line. He's not even particularly active on social media. But if you know where to look, and more importantly, if you understand the type of man Mike is, you start to see the pieces come together. Sources say Mike is back in Texas, living a quieter life and still doing what he loves most: welding, restoring, and fabricating. Just not in front of the cameras. In fact, he's reportedly been working in smaller private shops across the state, taking on selective custom jobs by referral only. No production deadlines, no artificial drama, just raw craftsmanship and peace. Some fans claim to have spotted him at niche garage events or caught glimpses of his handiwork in behind-the-scenes posts from other builders. His style is unmistakable. Solid welds, clean lines, no shortcuts. Whether he's helping on a frame-off restoration or laying down some TIG welds on a custom suspension, Mike leaves his signature in the steel, even if his name isn't on the sign outside the door. He's also kept ties with several friends from Iron Resurrection. While he might not be in the shop every day with Joe Martin anymore, word is they've remained on good terms. Joe even mentioned in a podcast that Mike's doing great. He's just off the radar by choice. In a world obsessed with being seen, Mike Zabonik's decision to vanish is almost poetic. He never needed the fame, and he never wanted it. What he did want was the satisfaction of building something real, something with weight, permanence, and precision. And now he's doing it on his own terms. For Mike Zabonik, welding wasn't just a skill. It was a language. He didn't need to talk much because his work said everything. Clean, precise, and honest. That's how he welded. And that's how he lived. And it's that philosophy that explains why he chose to step away from the spotlight rather than let it define him. Mike was never chasing the TV cameras. In fact, from the beginning, those close to the production say he was hesitant about being on the show at all. He preferred working with his head down, not delivering sound bites or playing up for drama. His fame came as a byproduct of his skill, not his ambition. In one of his few public comments, Mike once said, "TV or not, I just want to build stuff that lasts." That quote says everything. While others in the custom car world have leaned into celebrity, creating brands, building media empires, Mike leaned back. For him, legacy isn't found in YouTube subscribers or Instagram likes. It's found in the welds you don't notice because they're perfect. This quiet dedication earned him immense respect in the industry. Other builders speak of him in almost reverent tones. To them, Mike isn't just a guy who used to be on TV. He's the real deal. No ego, no shortcuts, just skill and soul. And that's what makes Mike's disappearance so compelling. He didn't vanish because of scandal or failure. He left because the noise got too loud, and he didn't want to shout to be heard. He'd rather build something beautiful in silence than speak nonsense in the spotlight. In a way, Mike represents a dying breed, the craftsman who values the work above the recognition. And in that choice, he's become even more legendary. Though he no longer appears on Iron Resurrection, Mike Zabonik's legacy continues to echo through every episode, every frame, and every fan memory. His fingerprints are all over the show's early seasons. The restored frames, the detailed fabrication work, the seamless body panels. For years, Mike wasn't just part of the team. He was the foundation, and fans haven't forgotten. In comment sections, forums, and Reddit threads, his name still pops up. Where's Mike? The show isn't the same without him. Mike Zabonik was the heart of that shop. When you leave that kind of impact without ever trying to be famous, you've done something rare. You've earned respect. Inside the industry, Mike is seen as a craftsman's craftsman, a guy who didn't cut corners, who worked without ego, who showed up, did the job right, and went home. That's a harder legacy to build than a viral moment. And it lasts longer, too. Even though he never gave a dramatic farewell, Mike's departure felt like a moment of quiet truth in a world full of noise. It reminded viewers that the most important people in a build aren't always the ones delivering one-liners or closing deals. Sometimes they're the ones just doing the work. Today, Mike Zabonik is out there somewhere in a Texas shop, torch in hand, eyes focused, sleeves rolled up, still building, still restoring. still choosing the quiet dignity of craftsmanship over the chaos of celebrity. And maybe that's the lesson he leaves behind, that the loudest voice isn't always the most important, and that the best legacies are built one weld at a time.